What's up, guys? It's Dynasty from the Mountaintops. I am Mickey, as always, and I'm joined with Jeremy. Jeremy, how you doing today?
Doing all right, man. I'm really fiending for some football. We're under the 100-day mark, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. I'm in the middle of a draft right now. If we have time, we're going to talk about a trade I made, but I'm in the middle of a rookie draft right now, having a great time with all the stuff, all the research that we did from the last 2 months prior to this. I'm it's like, all right, it's football season. I just bought some tickets to go to some games for the Steelers. I'm in, man. I'm ready to go already. Let's go. Win some time.
I like it. I'm totally in. Speaking of them Steelers, man, I think there's some feedback that you would like to present about some breaking news regarding your Steelers.
Oh yeah, Nostradamus. I mean me. So Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. Shocker to, I'm sure, everybody, meaning nobody. I think personally that this was done way back in the day, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll wait for you. No worries. This is when you want to sign. That's fine." Personally, that's how I think it went, because they didn't do anything at quarterback, and there's no way the Steelers were going to start the season with Mason Rudolph and hoping a sixth-round pick was going to work with Skylar Thompson as the number 3. Just wasn't going to happen. Didn't make any sense, especially going out and getting DK Metcalf. So your thoughts on Rodgers? I've made my thoughts pretty well known. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen eye test on the field. Maybe not the wins and things like that, the Super Bowls that Brady has or anything like that, but the eye test for me, he is, if not the best, right in that category. So I was pumped when he signed. Love to hear your feedback. I know you were kind of anti-Rodgers for a while. Have you come around like the rest of the Yinzers, or still anti?
I don't want to say anti. Let's call myself in the middle. If this was, say, 2019, I'd be super pumped.
Absolutely.
I just think I think I'm focused on the sample size of what we saw with the Jets versus what we've seen with the Packers. I think that's my only concern. What he does off the field, I don't care about. I am watching him as a football player, so I'm curious what he does as a football player. Off the field, though, like I know, like regarding his opinions, it's one thing, but he's already starting to say the right things. Like he's talking about how he wants to mentor Will Howard and how he wants to go check out a Buccos game, and he kind of he's already playing into the Pittsburgh hospitality aspects, so that's already off to the right foot. But I looking at this, I think it's it's an upgrade from Mason Rudolph. It's an upgrade from the inexperienced Will Howard. I think it's going to be exciting to see how he works with Tomlin. I'm more in how this team gels with him and DK minus Pickens. So overall, a completely new face of the team, in my opinion, offensively, with Najee out and Rodgers in and Pickens out, and Tomlin's still there running the show. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and don't be surprised. Alan Lazard is signed. However, now that Rodgers is on the team, he likes to play with his own players. Vontae Adams is not available. Neither is Alan Lazard, from what I understand. Romeo Dobbs is probably coming here. That's my next prediction. I've heard that from a couple different people, and also Ian Rappaport has said they are not done. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I believe.
That'd be exciting. I still think that it's Rodgers' show until Rodgers says otherwise. So I do believe we're going to get Lazard over anybody else, but I can see why the Jets are going to want to hold on to him, and I can see why Dobbs would be expendable here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I do think we need to do something for the wide receiver room. So whoever that be, it's just another new face for us to look forward to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we decided to do the AFC North the first week instead of the second week. So, of course, we miss a day late, actually. He signed the next day after we recorded. So, if you were listening to last week's, or if you did listen to last week's, it sounds like we don't know what we're talking about because it got it went out after the Rodgers signing. So, we just recorded a day early on that one. So, today we are talking about the AFC and NFC East, the NFL football champions. I don't know why I said it that way. Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be talking about later on in the show, as well as some other big, heavy hitters, and Rodgers' former team. So there you go. There's that segue. So first off, we're going to talk same thing as last week. We have some re-signs, additions, departures, what they did in the draft, and then our MVP and dark horse for each team. And then we're going to play a little bit of guess game here. Who's the best positional player in each division for fantasy? That's the key. Because it could be very different depending on if it's fantasy or just NFL. So we're going to go through those throughout the day here. First up, we have the Buffalo Bills, who've kind of put a stranglehold on this division since Tom Brady left to go to Tampa Bay.
Good call out, yeah.
So the Buffalo Bills re-signed Khalil Shakir, add Josh Palmer, both wide receivers, and Mac Hollins, another wide receiver, leaves. So not too much going on there. They didn't draft anybody of significance offensively, again, skill positions only. So there's not a whole lot to talk about. They did re-sign their number one last year. We'll get into that later on if he's going to be what we think about if he's number one or number two or where he's at on the totem pole moving forward in Shakir. But anything that I missed, anything you saw out of these three, really the only three things I saw from them.
No, nothing missed. Just a little, for lack of wrestling terms, mid-card wide receivers shuffling in regards to Shakir getting re-signed and Palmer coming in. Big fan of Palmer. Not necessarily thinking that he's the next Tyler Lockett or Amari Cooper or anything on those lines, but I think he's a solid player. I think he was decent in Los Angeles. I didn't think he didn't get the opportunities behind Keenan Allen and everything. When he had the opportunities, he played well in some, and then he got hurt himself. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with a change of scenery.
It's going to be nice to have him on the other side of Keon Coleman, is what I think. Because Khalil Shakir, I believe, is a slot receiver. Quick, shifty, gets the ball short, then goes, right? So I think they have their receiving core pretty set up now in a nice way, kind of just replacing Amari Cooper was also on this team last year, so I don't know why that was departures, but he's a free agent still, so he might be on this team. Who knows?
Correct.
But yeah, there's honestly not much to talk about this year. They really focused on their defense from what I saw in the draft, and the offseason, things like that. So they're really working on, they know who they have, and this is no surprise. If he's not your MVP on this team, you don't watch football. Josh Allen is the man, arguably the MVP, or he is the MVP of the league last year, MVP in your fantasy league more than likely. Just there's not enough good things to say about this dude. So we both had him as our MVP. Anything you want to gush over Josh Allen about?
No, man, he's, in my opinion, he's my absolute favorite style of quarterback. He's a guy who has a cannon for an arm. He's big. He's hard to tackle. He can run when he needs to, when he doesn't prioritize it. It's just he's a fantastic piece of that team. He's been developed well, and he's going to be their leader for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're going to get a better quarterback than the way he plays and the hard-nosed run style that he has when he does run the ball. I love it. He's a tank. Awesome to watch. So much fun to watch. So Buffalo, you're in good hands for a while there. My dark horse is Keon Coleman. As I said before, I kind of alluded to it. I think he takes over the number one spot. Khalil Shakir had a nice first 2 years or last 2 years, however you want to say it. But I think you drafted Keon Coleman. They were going to draft Keon Coleman in the first round and decided to move back, is what I've heard. So they love this dude. This was the guy they wanted in last year's draft before they traded out of the first round. And I saw promise. Not great, but promise, if that makes sense. And I think the second year he's going to elevate to that number one spot because he is an ex-receiver. What about you?
I support about that. Honestly, promise is probably the next best thing to coming out and being the guy in regards to being a rookie wide receiver. If you at least can see that they have the developmental pieces and you can see, hey, this is going to be somebody that's going to be a serious weapon down the road, then, hey, you've done well as a rookie wide. receiver, not only as the player himself, but as the scouting team. Keeping in mind of recording times like we are with Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to throw this one out there, not knowing exactly how this roster and this contract dispute's going to fall through. But I'm going to go my dark horse of James Cook, Buffalo Bills running back. He's over 1,000 yards again. He's the league leader last year with 16 touchdowns, 18 total if you count his 2 receiving. That leads the Bills. Cook's presence and production are essential to the offense. It's been proven that when Cook's in, the Josh Allen has become a darn dangerous weapon because you can focus on that backfield more. And when Cook's there, you have a backfield presence that can catch the ball. And then obviously, like I said, he has the rushing upside and the skill proven. They have a dynamic element when he's on it, and they are one of those teams that have a complete juggernaut offensive unit when all parties are involved, and that is including James Cook. That's why I feel that contract dispute is going to be something to keep an eye on, because I think that he's an essential piece to this offense.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried just because paying a running back who is good, don't get me wrong, he is, top 10 probably. Definitely.
For the sake of argument, top 10.
Definitely top 15 for sure. I don't know if you pay a running back that much, and that what he's asking for at least, which is what I'm worried about. Which is honestly, if Keelan Coleman wasn't on this team, that was my dark horse originally, and then I thought about it again, and I was like, I don't know. that was kind of the differentiating factor was Keelan's there. I don't know what Cook's going to be, if Cook's going to be there or not. I'm still not sold. And Ray Davis is a good backup. Could be possibly a good starter. We shall see. Hopefully we don't see, though, because it is much more fun to see James Cook with Josh Allen back there than it is to see anyone else. So
fair enough.
I like your dark horse as well, and I was kind of teetering back and forth, but I've been a Keelan Coleman fan since before the draft. Almost wherever he went, and then he landed with the best quarterback in the NFL, so that helps. Moving on, we have the Miami Dolphins. No re-signs, no ads. Departures, however, Raheem Mostert, who is obviously an older running back.
Raheem must start.
What's that?
Raheem must start.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago, man. Yeah. He's been a starter for a while in our fantasy leagues. Durham Smythe, who has not been a starter in our fantasy leagues, as well as Braxton Berrios, not usually a starter in our fantasy leagues as a wide receiver. They did draft Quinn Ewers, which is, in my opinion, the best possible spot Quinn Ewers could have went for a 7th-round pick, because who knows if Tua is actually going to last the whole year, and Zach Wilson is not very good. I try to be nice there. So MVP for me, I don't think it's any surprise on this team. Well, I guess it could be. Devon Achane. I am a huge Devon Achane fan. I was before the draft, and I was even more after he got drafted to this team with the speed that he has. So I know we had the same one. I'm sorry to steal the thunder on that. I should have given you the first one, but
no, we're good.
What you want to say about Achane?
No, he's a freight train. I mean, it's again, he's one of those aspects where it's not necessarily he relies on the team, but the offense relies on him when he plays. The offense is a completely different caliber offense. So no disagreement there. I'm in full agreement that he's the MVP of the Dolphins this year.
Nice. And I just overlooked it completely. Anything that you saw that I missed on the Dolphins, or wanted to talk about any of the departures or the draft or anything like that?
I agree with you. I like the Ewers spot. I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's a good spot for him to get some opportunities to what you said in regards to that quarterback room. I was a fan of him coming in. I was hoping the Steelers would take a crack at him. Happy Howard's there, of course, but no, I think Ewers is a good aspect, and I think he could get some playing time.
Perfect. And who's your dark horse?
Dark horse I have is I'm going to have, again, we're dealing with a little bit of contract issues here, but if he's signed, I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith, tight end. last year, it wasn't until like week 5, but then he started cooking. Like he had like 80 catches on like 98 targets or something like that for over 800 yards. Despite having only the 78 yards, he in his 4 games. So like he had a fantastic back end of that year. He's 6'3", 248. You know me, I like my metrics, and that's a big red zone target. It's a big proven aspect. I feel that the Jonnu Smith contract is not necessarily the top news right now because we have bigger marquee names, but I do feel that the Jonnu Smith contract should have some impact on the Miami Dolphins offense, either positively or negatively, depending on what he happens. I am excited to hear that he's being grumbled here for the Steelers. I know he did well under Arthur Smith. But nevertheless, wherever he's at, I think regardless of his age or regardless of his situation, I think he is a fantastic piece of this team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've liked him for a while. I liked him in Tennessee. And then he went to Atlanta, and of course they had Kyle Pitts, so like, who was supposed to be a stud. So everyone was upset about Jonnu Smith, which was really funny. He was like the wrestling term heel for no other reason than everyone wanted Pitts to be the guy they thought he was going to be with the 8th overall pick, and or 4th overall, I can't remember, top 10 pick. But it's been 1 year of the really good yardage and touchdowns, things like that. So of production. I'm having a aura. I told you before.
Yeah, and
rough time
that's
with
fine.
today,
No, we're good. No, we're good. I agree. It is 1 year, and I agree with that. But because when he was playing on that high caliber, that offense was at a full clicking machine, and the offense that he was able to produce has allowed to get the ball out of the pocket a little bit faster here because we're all knowing that he's trying to avoid the hits. I'm not saying that Jonnu's worth and should hold out for $45 million a year. They got to play the contract right. I'm not saying the Dolphins are necessarily doing anything wrong by this. We haven't really heard any of the terms. I agree with you, but simply, I think regardless what that contract looks like, if it's in a reasonable standard toward his resume, he needs to stay.
No, yeah, I think he's best served on that team because of his speed works very well with the speed of the rest of the team, and that's what they're looking to do. Also, he was the only one without Tua who could actually catch the ball. It was, I don't know if you watched any Miami games without Tua, but he was the only one who was successful.
No, that's a great call out. I mean, that's without Tua.
He was the one who was quarterback proof, but Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Achane were not. So it was really funny to see.
Very good call out.
Yeah, speaking of Jalen Waddle, that is my dark horse, simply for the fact Tyreek's not getting slower, but for them to be able to be successful, they need a second guy. I'm worried about Jonnu because it's only happened once. And Achane's going to be great in the backfield, but I'm talking about an actual receiver. And Jalen Waddle had a great rookie season, right? Then Tyreek Hill came, and they both played well the first year, the second year, or last year again. Tua got hurt. No one could catch the ball. Don't know what happened. I think he has a big bounce back here. And I put my money where my mouth is and actually made a trade late, Tyreek Hill for Jalen Waddle when I was out of the playoffs. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. But that's my dark horse this year.
No, I like the call. Jalen Waddle is a solid aspect, and everyone who knows, your listeners, knows that I am a huge advocate of the chemistry in college. So when you have Waddle and Tua connecting, back to their Alabama days, I mean that's exciting stuff to me. And to your point, like you said, Tyreek ain't getting slower, but we're under the impression here, we've seen it, that especially now that once you become involved in the fantasy community, there is a cliff. These players sometimes jump off this cliff, sometimes they roll off the cliff, and it's a little bit more of a gradual fall, but the cliff is there. It happens to every single one of these guys. So we got to keep that in mind, that if there is a season that comes into play where Tyreek's cliff is there, someone's going to have to pick up the slack. And Waddle is a fantastic individual to do so.
not only that, but the way Tyreek Hill was talking in the offseason, and I know he's backed off from it, but let's say the Miami Dolphins start out and are not that good. How long is Tyreek Hill going to be on that team? That's one thing that I just been thinking about recently. And if Tyreek Hill's gone, Jalen Waddle becomes the number one. Easy. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I just the grumblings have been louder than a usual wide receiver problem.
Correct.
So yeah, we'll see what happens there. A lot of speculation, but also that defense is rough. So we'll see how good the team is. And Tyreek Hill doesn't like to be on a losing team. No one really does, but he vocalizes it pretty.
Past like 3 years, he's been vocal in the offseason.
Yeah. And Kansas City got rid of him because of that, from what I understand. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like both choices. Jonnu was one of the reasons that I ended up being in the semifinals in my league, one of my leagues last year, because I picked him up halfway through the season and right before he went crazy. So New York Jets are next. They re-sign Alan Lazard, which we talked about earlier, and then add Justin Fields, their quarterback, wide receiver Josh Reynolds, which is a sneaky good ad for this team. They need a 2, maybe 3 wide receiver, and Josh Reynolds has been a 2 or 3, depending, for Detroit for quite a while. However, they did lose the former Green Bay tandem in wide receiver Devontae Adams and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. It's really funny. We ended up making a trade. We, as in the Steelers, ended up just making a trade, Rodgers for Fields, without it actually being a trade. Whatever.
I can't wait. I can't believe that week matchup's hitting. Like the script writers cooked on that little nugget when we got Rodgers and Fields playing. I think it's week 1, right?
Yeah, it's week 1. That's why I said, everyone knew this was coming.
So much fun.
Justin Fields went there, and Aaron Rodgers was in talks, and when he came on the Pat McAfee show, it was almost a lock that he was coming there. And then they released the schedule, and he was week 1 versus the Jets, and Fields versus the Steelers, obviously. And I was like, come on. It's a guarantee. So, and then not to be forgotten here, Tyler Conklin, their starting tight end for quite a while, is now, I believe, in LA.
Yes, Chargers.
Starting tight end for the Chargers. So they also drafted his heir apparent, or I guess not heir apparent, his substitute, which is tight end Mason Taylor, and then also picked up wide receiver Arian Smith, which I thought was pretty interesting. This guy was even on the list because I have yet to hear about him, and I did draft prep. So that was pretty different for me. But I will let you go on poetically for another round here. Have your fun with Taylor.
Mason Taylor it's no secret. I think he is. I think he's going to make some noise coming out of the tight end class this year. I think he is going to make some noise on the field immediately. He's my dark horse. Spoiler alert, moving ahead, he's my dark horse for the Jets offense this year. I think he's going to be wide receiver 2 statistically by the end of the year. I mean, I don't necessarily know who else they got that's going to be able to do it. He's 6'5". He's 246 pounds. That is a monster in the red zone. Good luck covering that. And then he just for the sake of his LSU senior day numbers, he did 28 bench reps, and he ran a 4.65 40. Like, the dude's a freak. He has the pedigree of his dad and his uncle being professional athletes in the NFL. Everything lines up perfectly. I think he is just absolutely. I think he's just going to come out of the gate swinging, and I think we're going to have very similar numbers to, say, like a Trey McBride type.
No, wow, Trey McBride, that would be phenomenal for for Mason Taylor. That would be, that's a cheat code in fantasy, being a top 1, 2, 3 tight end there. So if he becomes that, you are Nostradamus. You are the new Nostradamus. So there you go. My biggest thing here, and you said your dark horse, so I'll say my dark horse too. Before we get to the MVPs, I think we have this one split both here. My dark horse is the quarterback, Justin Fields. I don't know if he's considered a dark horse after he's been a top 6 quarterback before. However, he's on a new team, probably his last chance. And me and you have said this before. We both believe he's going to be successful here because he's with Garrett Wilson, who he played with in college. And also, he's not in fantasy. If he's a starter, he is a top 10 quarterback because of his speed and his ability to run. Outside of probably Lamar and maybe Anthony Richardson, he's probably the next best runner with the football as a quarterback. So I have him as dark horse. And again, if this had nothing to do with fantasy, he would not be my dark horse. However, it does. So Justin Fields, if you're able to pick him up in your leagues, I just am suggesting it. There's no one behind him to take the spot from him if he doesn't play well. So he's going to run all year, it seems like, unless they go out and make a trade. And then who is your MVP, sir?
I'm actually going to play kind of off the wagon of that. I'm a big fan of Justin Fields this year. So I support the dark horse, but there's one Justin Fields is throwing the ball to one man, in my opinion, and it's going to be Garrett Wilson. That's going to be my MVP. Each of Wilson's 3 NFL seasons has been the same exact thing: massive volume, massive catches, and we all know that the Jets quarterbacks have been subpar. Like, okay, we have Aaron Rodgers on there, but we know what kind of Aaron Rodgers we had when he was in the Jets, and we have, Zach Wilson. We know what kind of quarterback Zach Wilson is. Like, Garrett Wilson has done phenomenal top 5, top 10 wide receiver numbers with absolute junk thrown in the ball. And now he's going to have, regardless of your opinions on it, Justin Fields, his college teammate, throwing in the ball once again, where honestly Garrett Wilson's best statistical numbers and best statistical highlights were with Justin Fields throwing in the ball. Now, again, would say what you want about Fields in regards to how he reads defenses and how, if he's going to be this great, where was he at these past 5-6 years? Have you at it one? But I'm telling you, Garrett Wilson is going to have to go nuclear this year with having Justin Fields throwing him the ball.
No, I 100% agree, and I think you could go – it was kind of like a 50-50 for me, personally. Garrett Wilson, and then who my MVP is, who I think is going to have a massive bounce back here in Breece Hall.
Thank gosh someone said it. There's all this split and carries and everything's crazy. So I would love to hear you give him this praise that he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is just insane to me. He is by far the best running back on this team, and it's not close. Not to mention, Justin Fields doesn't throw the ball great. So you have a workhorse running back behind him. Why not use that? And then if you're able to use the play action with Justin Fields, that opens up a lot more, especially with him being able to run out of the backfield as well. That dual threat, Breece Hall and Justin Fields, could be dangerous. And then you have Justin Fields being able to throw Mason Taylor, apparently, and Garrett Wilson the ball. Like, that opens up an offense. But you got to give him the carries. You may like Braylon Allen as much as the next guy, and I don't really think he's great. He's a good backup, good change of pace, good 2 yards if you need it. He's going to get it because he'll just fall forward kind of guy. But Breece Hall, when he came out, he was a stud. He didn't just lose that, right? So I'm really, really thinking Breece Hall is going to have a bounce back year as long as the head coach and the offensive coordinator don't get in his way.
Well said, and I don't think they will. I think there's a lot of this with smoke, and even if it's not smoke, I think you and I are in agreement that the talent is far more superior on one individual player on this team in regards to the running backs, and he'll stand out. And it's just a matter of a few weeks before he takes off. And if this is a committee, he takes full ownership of said committee.
Perfect. And then the final team in this division, which, man, this was interesting to find some positive here, was the New England Patriots. However, I do think they're going to be a lot better this year, but we'll get to that in a second. They re-sign Austin Hooper as a tight end. They add Stephon Diggs, if you've seen him on a boat recently, wide receiver. And then they lost I thought you'd like that. And then Jacoby Brissett, obviously starting quarterback for the season, back up very quickly to Drake May, leaves as well this year. They draft running back in Trevion Henderson, who I will talk about in a minute, and wide receiver Kyle Williams, who everyone is gaga over in fantasy, apparently. So, where do you want to start, sir?
I say we run with it here and go on up. Let's crush about Henderson. Let's go ahead and share your thoughts on Henderson.
Sounds great. This dude is a stud. If he came out last year, he was the number one running back in the draft last year. Not saying much. But he decided to stay, and he should have been, in my opinion, second running back because Gentry's a freak athlete. But he ended up falling into a great spot, a spot that there are very few catches to be made by wide receivers, or tight ends, really, for that matter, unless he's in the end zone in Hunter Henry. So who is Drake May, who everyone thinks is going to be a top 10 quarterback in fantasy this year, going to throw the ball to? Trevion Henderson. I am so excited for where he landed. I am typically not an Ohio State player fan, but these last few years have caught me off guard with Harrison and now Trevion Henderson. And what he and Quinshon Judkins did for that backfield last year as a tandem, I can't wait to see what Henderson can do by himself. And I know people are going to be out there, well, they have Ramondre Stevenson. No, they don't. Watch him play on the field, then watch Henderson play on the field. It's two different games. So Trevion Henderson is, again, he was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. I have liked him for 3 years now, or going to be 3 years now, and I am ecstatic with the opportunity that he gets, especially with obviously one of my favorite young quarterbacks as well, with Drake May, who I'm just going to let you know, is my MVP on this team. As Drake goes, so goes the team. Also, if they can't throw to anybody, he's going to get the run a lot as well, which is fantasy points out the wazoo. So your turn.
Yeah, we won't beat it to death. I think it's quite obvious. Again, the skill set's there and the promise is there. We're in agreement on the MVP of Drake May. Looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing the cannon. A year under his belt now. New coaching regime. I'm always been a big fan of Vrabel. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Patriots this year. Honestly, my dark horse. No knock on Henderson's skill set is I'm actually going to go with Stephon Diggs, Mr. Cocaine himself. We're going to go with 3 years, $63 million contract signing for the starters here. So that right there tells you that they're not only invested into him, they're committed to him, and they're going to pay him. And whatever injuries that he's walking into camp with, they're not concerned of. I know he's already running routes. I know he's already making significant cuts on these routes, and he's exceeding his timetable to return. He's only last year he improved on what little time that he had. Out of the 8 games he played, he was in the top 15 in 4 out of the 8. So he's had some impressive weeks under last year with Houston, and he increased his target share from 5.9 to 8 per game. So he had improvement. There was improvement. It was a small window to sample, but I think that is just going to transpire, and I don't think the tank's empty on Stephon Diggs.
No, I don't disagree with you. He was the only other option there is, but I mean, he's been a top 10 wide receiver in the past. I wasn't sure if you can consider him a dark horse or not, but I get what you're saying. People are not seeing him as the Stephon Diggs that was.
He's washed. He's hurt. He's on a
Right.
boat. He's doing this. He's not focused on it. He's a locker room cancer. That's all you hear. So by all means, he's a dark horse because, quite frankly, no one has given him a shot but the New England Patriots and yours truly on succeeding this year.
And I love that take of a different take on a dark horse. Usually we think of dark horse as like someone who is about to become that dude, right? Or someone who's about to move up in rankings. But Stephon Diggs, you're absolutely right. Like, no one thinks this guy has still got it. I kind of do, especially I need him to with Drake May being his quarterback. So I support the decision there on dark horse. I just with Trevion Henderson, I couldn't go away from him, as you heard me earlier. So AFC North, we both have the best quarterback, running back, and wide receiver as Josh Allen. Both of us picked him as our MVP. If you again, MVP of the league last year, MVP of your fantasy league, MVP of your hearts at this point. And what's that?
No, I agree. It was a snicker. That's all.
And then we have Devon Achane as the number one running back. Even though I wax poetically about Trevion Henderson, he does have to prove it. Achane has. And then wide receiver Garrett Wilson as the number one there as well. There is an argument for another person, however, in Tyreek Hill. However, Garrett Wilson is the younger option and also has been a little bit more productive as of late. So Tyreek Hill is my flex. We'll get to your flex in just a second. And then tight end for me is Dalton Kincaid. And my dark horse was, of course, Keon Coleman because the best player in the game is throwing to him, and I believe he's going to be the number one target.
Yeah, solid lineup. I can't disagree with any of them. Like I'm in full agreement, like you said, with our three, with Allen, Achane, and Wilson. But yeah, the tight end. I'm going to back up with what I said earlier. I'm going to go with Jonnu Smith. If he stays in Miami, I think he continues to produce the numbers that he was able to produce, and he has the outset that he does. My flex, I'm going to back up again what I was saying earlier. That's where I'm going to slide in James Cook. I'm going to be optimistic that things are going to handle in favor of all parties involved. And the Buffalo Bills will have James Cook as their starting week one running back, and he will be able to produce as is. And then, of course, my dark horse thrown in there of Stephon Diggs. So yeah, I think either route we take on this AFC East lineup is a dominant fantasy forefront based off of this division alone, and I don't think either one of us have gone wrong.
No, I like both. I like both lineups. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't think there's a wrong one there. Next up, we got the NFC East. So that was the AFC East. We're going to flip over to the NFC here and talk about the Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they re-signed Saquon Barkley to a massive deal. Also add Harrison Bryant, tight end, wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr., and running back A.J. Dillon. And then Kenneth Gainwell came to the Pittsburgh Steelers as running back, and they drafted Kyle McCord. They seem to draft a quarterback almost every year for some reason.
That's not wrong.
As a backup or a third string, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So Kyle McCord from Syracuse, formerly from Ohio State, who got shipped away because they didn't make the Final Four 1 year out of however many they'd always make it. So anything you see, obviously Saquon Barkley give it. I don't even know if he re-signed. It was just like, here's more money. You were one of the huge reasons.
Yeah, it was. I think it was kind of like a more money with a little extra time added to it. It was kind of an extension, but nevertheless, he deserves to be on here. I mean, he's the nucleus of the team last year. So yeah, nothing to take away. Terrace Marshall, man, the redheaded stepchild of the LSU powerhouse of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. Nobody really is. Terrence never developed into what he should have, but it would have been fun if he did.
Well, he did play for Carolina. So he didn't really have much of development to be there, to be added there. I forgot that he was on LSU, by the way. Great call.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think there's really anything of significance. Jalen Hurts
Correct.
gets hurt at least once a game or once a year.
Wow.
Doesn't play a game. Probably once a game too. He just stays in them. So Kyle McCord could be interesting as a backup. If he is going to be the backup, I believe they still have Tanner McKee.
They still got Dorian Thomas-Robinson too from that trade with Pickens.
Yeah, like I said, they still have Tanner McKee. So I am not a DTR guy, if you couldn't tell. So there's some quarterbacks that just show me.
So get a quarterback. Who's your MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles there, Mick?
Great segue, sir. This is like the biggest 50-50 in my opinion. And when it's 50-50, it goes to the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, as long as you have the tush push, he is the best player on the field, in my opinion. Once the tush push goes away, then it's Saquon Barkley immediately. However, Jalen Hurts, I still think, is one of the top 4 quarterbacks in fantasy. He proved that he can throw the ball to his 2 stud wide receivers who we don't even talk about enough because of Saquon Barkley and how legitimate that defense is. But A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who I'll talk about now as my dark horse,
go for it, man.
are 2 of probably talent-wise the top 15 wide receivers in the game. Close to it, at least. People are forgetting Devontae Smith is number 2 on his team. He won the Heisman. A wide receiver. That doesn't happen. So he has talent out the wazoo, and A.J. Brown is the number 1 on this team. You have Jalen Hurts, who can throw the ball and run. And I just think with that core right there, and then you add Saquon Barkley, obviously, in the backfield, who I know you're going to talk about in just a second. I just think Jalen Hurts is the one who moves the needle forward a little bit more. Not all quarterbacks would be able to make this all go and everyone be happy. So,
again,
the other half of the MVP would be.
The other half would be Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
The dude was an absolute freak last year. He increased his yards per carry from 3.9 to 5.8. He went from 7 to 17, 20-plus rushing yards or runs. He went from runs to 40-plus rushing yard runs. He had 7 compared to 0 the year before. And he would come in, he had, I think, let's just say 21.18 average points per game in a half PPR format. Like that right there, like, you can't lose. It's hard to lose because it's fantasy. Let's get real. There's weird things happen every week. But you can't lose when you're having things like that output to it. The dude is in an absolute perfect scenario that nobody felt would be with the way that Hurts plays and the tush push and everything in between. You're right. If Jalen Hurts' tush was not being pushed, Barkley would be even more dominant. But with the fact that you have this play still in the rules, and the fact that this play is still going to be utilized next year, and we still have Saquon Barkley putting out the numbers that Saquon Barkley did, to me, he's tush push proof, which is a little bit hard to say, but it works anyway. So Saquon is my MVP. I think it was proven last year, and it's going to be back into it this year. The dark horse. I had a little fun with this one. Saquon Barkley has graced his beautiful face on the cover of Madden 26 this year, and we all know it is not a joke that the Madden hex is a real deal. Just ask Christian McCaffrey last year. If, in fact, that curse comes into fruition, not only are the Eagles in big trouble, but my dark horse is that running back room of the Philadelphia Eagles. It is proven that the Eagles have Jalen Hurts and a fantastic wide receiving core. no doubt about it. But it is also proven that it is needed to have the running back system that they had. Now, you're never going to have anybody replace Saquon Barkley. I'm not saying that. But if you have the addition of A.J. Dillon, who hasn't played in a year, and you have Will Shipley, who barely played last year because of Saquon Barkley, you either have to have full faith and confidence in that running back room, or this is going to be something where you're adding an individual via trade or free agency during camp if something were to happen. But if something does happen, say mid-season, not that I'm hexing anything out there, it is reality. If something were to happen mid-season, the Eagles running back room has got to step up and fill any type of voids they possibly can that Barkley will be losing.
100% agree. And I forgot to mention that. When I saw your list, I was kind of interested in where you were going there, so I was going to let you go with that. But that is another reason why I didn't make Saquon my MVP this year. The reason is he had 400 carries last year. Ran for 2,000 yards. There are not many players in the NFL who have run that much and the next year come back and been fine.
It's a lot of mileage. It's a lot of use.
And everyone
will agree with that.
Well, he's a freak. Derrick Henry did it. He's just like Derrick. No one is like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I was going to stop you. I'm glad
no one is built like that man. And Saquon has had issues in the past in injuries. So that is a very important part of this, which I don't disagree with the MVP at all. It's, in my opinion, it's 50-50. Maybe
I agree. Yeah.
Saquon. But
there's the risk. There's the risk.
Huge risk coming into this year because of all the work they took. And that wasn't just 400 carries. That was in the regular season. He played almost every game. Should have played every game. Almost every game. And then he had what? He didn't have the bye, right? So three playoff games and the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's a lot of tread on a guy who's not super young, running back-wise. I think he's been in the league for 5-6 years now, with injuries. So that's
he's not injury-prone. He's 7 years, but he's not injury-prone, but he does have an injury history. Right. Yeah, he has an injury history, so yes. Right.
So that worried me a little bit, and I think I also am a huge Jalen Hurts fan, have been since he was in Alabama, before he moved to Oklahoma. So that also had something to do with it as well. I like Saquon a lot too, but I think, like I said, 51-49 or whatever percentage you want to give to it, like it's that close in my opinion.
I agree.
I wanted to give Jalen some love. Moving on, Washington Commanders re-signed Marcus Mariota as their backup. Tight end Zach Ertz again, and wide receiver Noah Brown, who was a sneaky ad last year. Their big ad in Deebo Samuel, they actually started all the craziness the offseason basically by getting Deebo Samuel early in that free agency process. Or no, they traded for him, huh? Yeah, they traded for him. My apologies. And then they also had two wide receivers who departed in Diami Brown, who got paid down in Jacksonville, I believe, and wide receiver Olamide Zacchaeus. Hopefully I said that right. And as far as the draft goes, they had to build up their defense. They focused on the defense. They really didn't bring in anyone of significance. Krosky Merritt, the running back, people are talking about, but with Eckler still there and Brian Robinson, don't know how much he's actually going to play. Thoughts on this list? I know I have one person that is circled for me, but let's hear from you first.
No, I agree. I like the list. I think Zach Ertz was a nice re-sign real quick at the very end. I know there was some talk about what he was going to do with his future, but I think Zach Ertz was a nice ad for them, proven asset for Jalen Daniels last year. But no, I think we're in agreement in regards to who we have circled. I'm assuming you're referring to our MVP choice.
I mean, he's a freak. Yeah, we can go there. I was going to say that Zach Ertz still being the tight end was a surprise to me because Ben Sinnott The I think second or third round pick they had last year as tight end is still just sitting on the bench now. Still, but yeah, we can go to the. MVP.
We had no. We had this with Trey McBride as well. I think he was a 2, if not a 3rd-year development. I mean, tight ends tend to take a little bit. I agree with you, but in the same sense, I think maybe. Too. Yeah, but then maybe they're looking at this as like a re-roll in regards to it. I mean, Zach Ertz can't have too much tread left on the tires regarding everything that's going on with his history and everything in between. So maybe this is just a re-roll with Benson on. I was watching some old Red Zone highlights, and he was doing. I saw a nasty catch from him, and I remembered him. But yeah, I think Ertz addition there is going to slow him down a tad, but I think it's only going to help him working under Ertz. Got to be patient with the tight ends, I guess.
Yeah, no, especially if you have Zach Ertz on your team. He's going to take the first 2 years and then groom a great tight end is what seems
it's a good one to groom. Zach Ertz is a good one to groom, so yeah, I'll take it.
Absolutely. And then Marcus Mariota being the backup for Jaden Daniels makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. They play very similar. Not as good, but play similar. That call out. One that I like to have as well. Because I never understand why teams have a running quarterback and then their backup is a passing quarterback. You have to change your entire offense.
That's a really good call out.
I like what the Washington Commanders did when they brought in Marcus Mariota. So enough of that. Let's talk about the MVP, and it's no surprise, even though I put him as a wide receiver, he's not on our list here. I just saw him.
I just noticed it too.
Yeah, I'll let you do the honors first, since I've been talking first about all these guys.
No, I think it's an obvious agreement of where we're at. I think the top 5 quarterback in Dynasty in all aspects of fantasy. I think he was averaging 21 points a game. It's our quarterback, Jalen Daniels. When you have the freakish talent and skill set to be a passing quarterback and a scrambling quarterback, it's the ultimate fantasy weapon. And a 1 quarterback and a super flex and a 2 quarterback, no matter breakdown it is, the quarterback is essential. And when you have one that it has the output potential of points of the scrambling quarterback that can ball, it's a no-brainer. He was coming into this year with a bunch of hype. We have seen it before in a good way. We have seen it before in a bad way, and you become optimistic in regards to how the rookie's going to play. And he came out and balled, and now we can look forward to him for the next 10, 12 years and seeing how he's going to develop and become better and better and be the next Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, couldn't say it better myself. I have nothing to add. I just when you put the two things together, the passing and the rushing, just like you said, there's only a certain amount of players who can do that, and that's what catapults you in fantasy to that elite status, and he is one of them already. That's basically him in a nutshell. He can do both very well, so it's dangerous. So my dark horse was Brian Robinson Jr. Because I think because of how good the quarterback is there, they forget that there is a good running back out there. And I think as Brian Robinson goes, the offense will be even better because you'll have that triple problem with Austin Eckler in the backfield, which is always a problem. So, also, I didn't see another dark horse on this team. So, you're up, buddy.
No, I kind of went with the same logic in regards to Stephon Diggs, and I went with my dark horses, Deebo Samuel. He came in there, they reconstructed, he got 1 year, $17 million guaranteed. He's coming off of career lows in receiving and yards per carry last year out of San Francisco. I'm excited with the pairing now with Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury loves his trick plays, his screen passes, and that is right up Deebo's alley, a healthy Deebo, of course. When you combine that with Daniels' running ability, Brian Robinson, who I'm a fan of. It kind of makes that backfield avoid having a primary focus. And I think it's going to allow Debo to have a running threat and be a passing threat and kind of show what he's done in the past.
No, absolutely agree. I'm a Debo fan. I kind of went with the same logic I went with Diggs. He's been a top wide receiver one, so I was like, is he a dark horse? But I love how you explain that. So I like that call out as well. We're at about 55 minutes, so hopefully we'll be able to finish this within the next 10. So we have two more here. Dallas Cowboys re-sign Cavante Turbin, add Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders as running backs, and pick up wide receiver George Pickens, who we know pretty well from Pittsburgh. And Rico Dowdle, the starting running back for them last year, is now in Carolina. And Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, is a departure as well. They picked up just one draft piece from what I saw, which was Jaden Blue, running back from Texas.
Why don't you tell us about Jaden Blue?
Yeah, hey, he's going to be the dark horse. He's going to be the starter. The other two guys have proven they are not very good. In Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. Williams can't stay healthy, unfortunately. He would be good if he could stay healthy. And Miles Sanders has not ever been good, in my opinion. I know he had a couple years in Philadelphia, but I think we could run it in Philadelphia at this point. Jaden Blue, I like a lot. Texas running backs are kind of getting to be like Ohio State wide receivers, LSU wide receivers. Like, they are dudes, right?
I like it.
So that's my dark horse for the Cowboys. How about you?
I went with the hothead himself, Mr. George Pickens, Mr. Brand New Dallas Cowboy. Look, the trade coming into it pairs him with Dak and under Schottenheimer and an offense that not only has been but will be extremely pass heavy. Like we just talked about the running backs. I love Jaden Blue. I agree with you. I think he's going to be RB1 by week 3 or 4. I think he's going to come out swinging. But this is Dak's team and this is CD's team. For the record, we're both in agreement on CD being the MVP. I think it's a no-brainer. But I think that overshadows what Pickens is going to do. He's had 800 yards plus each of his 3 years, and I think he breaks off his career numbers this year under Dak.
Let's just hope Dak stays healthy, and then those things can come to fruition. Because without Dak, this team falls apart. But CeeDee Lamb taking a lot of. CeeDee Lamb's one of the best, 3 wide receivers. I put him in the same conversation as Chase and Jefferson. Not everyone does. I do. If he's not in that conversation, he's the one right below them with neighbors. So he's a stud. So taking the heat off of George Pickens, making him the number 2, is a huge deal for George Pickens. Yes, he might not get the ball as much, but they're going to win because of I believe they're going to win. They're going to be a pretty good team, better than what a lot of other people expect.
He might get the ball just as much being a wide receiver 2 under that offense than he was under the Steelers offense with the quarterbacks that we had.
No, that's a great point, especially with Arthur Smith as our coordinator and Schottenheimer kind of calling the plays down there. Very 2 different styles.
Correct.
To be frank there. Yeah, I like both choices. George Pickens, I was just sad that he left because I wanted to run it 1 year with the insane offense that it looked like on paper. But that wasn't the case here in Pittsburgh. So, moving on, I do agree with you. I think George Pickens is going to have a great year. Moving on, we have New York Giants. Tommy DeVito re-signs still.
Yeah.
Tight end Chris Mannertz, which I didn't even know who he was or he was on the team. I think he's a tight end 3. Quarterback Russell Wilson and quarterback Jameis Winston. And then the departures was Drew Lock. They drafted a quarterback as well in Jackson Dart, our guy. And then Cam Scatabo as running back. obviously, the biggest thing here is the quarterback room is interesting to say the least.
Yes. Believe interesting is the word.
Yeah, because there are two guys who, fantasy-wise, there's not one person who has Malik Neighbors on their fantasy team who does not want to see Jameis Winston as the number one quarterback. And if you say otherwise, you are lying to yourself because he only sees one player on the field every time he throws every pass. It's insane. Well, no, he sees one player on his own team and then like four on the other team. But it's true. The true 30 and 30. But Russell Wilson is probably going to get the start here. Which is fine. He'll be okay for Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is, we've seen kind of quarterback proof as much as I kind of thought he fell off a little bit in the middle of the season and came back at the end. Started hot, ended hot as well. So, but we both think the same thing. I thought Jackson Dart was the best quarterback coming out of this draft class, and was shocked when people said it was there were other quarterbacks that were better. I'm ecstatic to see who Jackson Dart play. I think he'll play this year because the Giants are going to not win many games, in my opinion, because they just don't have much. And those were that was the biggest thing. Is this quarterback room is going to be very interesting. How about you?
No, I agree. I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart. I have him in our fantasy league that we share. I'm looking forward to his development, but I think that's a development that's going to be delayed due to the two new quarterback additions in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I think Russell Wilson definitely stands a significant shot at being the wide quarterback week one. And I think it's probably Wilson's job to lose. But I'm optimistic that we're going to get some Dart. I think Dart eventually leapfrogs Winston. And we have Dart before. I think we have Dart more significantly than we do Winston in regards to time, but that's neither here or there. So I mean, I'm in full support of Dart. Looking forward to it, but that quarterback room is going to be crazy.
Yeah. So the trade that I was going to talk about at the end here, but I don't know if we have time or not. It's for Jackson Dart. So I absolutely love Dart. MVP on this team by far is going to be Malik Neighbors.
Yes,
he is the dude on this team. There's no one close.
Correct.
That's pretty much the easiest way to say it. He's one of the top 5 wide receivers already, and he was a rookie last year. He was super impressive. So I don't know. I know you love the LSU guys, so if you want to wax poetically on him as well, but there's not much else I can say about him other than he has just been great. This team, there's nothing else there.
No, I agree. He's standalone. He's far superior in regards to a fantasy asset than anybody else on this team combined. Malik Neighbors is the freak that we all wanted that waited and will be for the next few years.
Absolutely. And if you want to go with your dark horse, and I'll end with mine because we've already kind of talked about it.
Sure. No, my dark horse is just more of an honorable shout out to Tyrone Tracy. Not a soul was talking about this dude. Everybody is rookie crushing on Scatterbo, and no one is talking about Tyrone Tracy, and I just don't know why. The dude has a little bit of a fumbling issue. Okay, I get that. If you want to talk about a negativity regarding Tyrone Tracy, he did have a few fumbles last year, but he didn't have a single game of double-digit touches until week 5, and he still had over 1,100 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4.4 yards per carry. He's a different style than Scatterbo. So we are now seeing these running back duos where you have the pass catching one and you have the power back. Scatterbo is our next Pacheco. That's something that we're all waiting to see. The dude is the next Pacheco where he runs to the ground and he runs like he's angry at the ground. But when you have Tyrone Tracy, who is a wide receiver convert, I just think you need to have that player. And you need to have that player be recognized. And that's exactly what my point of this whole purpose was.
No, absolutely. And I couldn't remember if you said this already or not, but he was a wide receiver in the past. So,
correct, yeah.
He 100% can catch the ball.
Yeah.
Scatterbo can out of the backfield as well, but the biggest knock on Scatterbo was his speed. coming out, from what I understand, and because he had a little bit of hands, he doesn't have that shiftiness. He just, like you said, Pacheco plows through you and you will fall. Like that's it. So just the tough grittiness, and I think they're going to work really well hand in hand together. I have already said this once, and I think you agreed. With that wide receiver potential and not having a wide receiver 2 on this team, do not be surprised if Dayball decides to move Tyrone Tracy, kind of like Achane does, to the wide receiver slots. And Cam Scatterbo's in the backfield. They can both catch out of the backfield. Obviously, Tracy a little bit better because he was wide receiver, but he can run route. Tracy can run routes. I think this is going to be a really nice year for these 3 guys. If they make those kind of adjustments and use all 3 guys at the same time, because they're your 3 best offensive players, you have to keep them on the field. So I don't think you're going to see a duel. I think you're going to see a lot of shifting around, which will be a lot of fun to see. So, but my dark horse, I've talked poetically on him already. But Jackson Dart, I don't see an issue with his game. When you watch him, he just looks good, to be 100% honest with you. And I believe he's going to start before midseason. I don't know when their bye week is, but that seems to typically be when quarterbacks switch. And this team obviously is not going far. They have 3 teams that are going to be better than them, no questions asked. In their own division, so they know they're not. I mean, they obviously think they're going far, but everyone kind of already knows they're not. And when you have a team that is young, in Neighbors, Scatabo, Tracy, the defense is good but young as well, you can take the time to groom a quarterback in Jackson Dart, and I think you're going to see it pretty early. Anything else on the Giants for you?
No, sir. No, I'm full agreement with Dart. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I'm building a dynasty team future around him, so I'm really looking forward to his development and seeing him get on the field.
That sounds like me and Drake May last year, so I get it. So NFC East, obviously, well, I guess not obviously. I had Jalen Hurts as the quarterback for this division. I know you have somebody else, so if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I went with Dak Prescott. I think this year is the year that he has to. It's not necessarily, this is the year of the Cowboys. I don't think he has much of a choice. I think it gets blown up by a nuclear warhead inside out if this fails this year. There's really no other excuses or anything about it. We all know the type of caliber CeeDee Lamb is. We're in agreement that he's our starting wide receiver on this team. But I also want to back up George Pickens. We also want to back up the other passing game that they have, the overall passing game that they have. And there's one man doing the command of it, and it's Dak Prescott. So he's my pick.
Okay, so since you said Dak Prescott, I just have to make the mention of it could be any one of these 3 guys. Jaden Daniels 100% could be the
yeah, let's give a shout out to Jalen Daniels too. Yeah, neither one of us picked him, but let's give it a shout.
So I guess it's like 33% for each. Like, I agree with you. As Dak goes and he stays healthy, the Cowboys will go. So that makes a lot of sense as well. Running back, he ran for 2,000 yards last year. It's Saquon Barkley. No one else is touching him. And honestly, no one in this division is really threatening him.
That's why he is actually my divisional MVP. As Josh Allen was our divisional MVP, he is my divisional MVP for the NFC East, in my opinion. I don't think he's touched.
Okay, I mean, I can see that. I have someone else, but I can definitely see that. And actually, we're going to talk about him right now. CeeDee Lamb is my MVP. That is 100% a little bias. Him versus Saquon Barkley. CeeDee Lamb is one of my favorite players in the league. I put him in the top 3 wide receivers. And I put Saquon Barkley at 3, 4, 5 in that realm in running backs, just because of the age, to be honest with you. We talk about dynasty, and that's really the reasoning there. So that we both had CD Lamb as our wide receiver.
Correct.
I had Jake Ferguson for lack of talent in this division for tight end.
And I went with Dallas Goedert.
Yeah. So yeah, same thing as what we said last week in the AFC or North. It's kind of splitting hairs. They're in that clump of 10 guys who are basically touchdown dependent.
The same. Yep.
All the same. But yeah, you could go either way with those two, I think, as well.
I agree.
Flex, we both had Malik Neighbors, which is funny because, like I said, the CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors probably interchangeable. If you like him being 21 years old and put him as your wide receiver, that's fine. You're going to put CeeDee Lamb as your flex. They're interchangeable.
You cannot build a team and not have both of them. So it's pick your poison, but you're not building a team of 5 or 4 off of a division and not including those 2 wide receivers. You're not. Or if it's not. So
absolutely 2 of the top 4 wide receivers in the NFL right now. And then my dark horse was Brian Robinson Jr. Again, for lack of talent in this division, to be 100% honest with you, I didn't want to just pick a bunch of Eagles, so I went with Brian Robinson Jr. You could go with a couple of other people here, which you did.
Yeah, I'd like to recant. I went back with George Pickens. Again, looking forward to him hitting some numbers that he did in 2023 with where he had 100 some targets and 1,100 yards receiving. I'm hoping that he hits those numbers again. And it's, again, with this type of passing offense, it's very possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think if you had Devontae Smith or Tyrone Tracy, someone like that in here, I could understand that as well. They're about the same caliber. Devontae Smith may be a little bit higher than a dark horse, but I took my liberties on that one. So, anything else you wanted to talk about before we get out of here? We're running a little bit long.
No, I think we're okay here. I think the NFC East is the powerhouse that we know it is. Even the teams that are, quote, bad still have absolute freaks on offense. And the AFC East is underrated. It was overshadowed by Tom Brady, and now the teams are trying to figure themselves out in a post-Brady world, and the Bills just got ahead of the game and they're a head start. But as we've talked about, it's anyone's division.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be interesting. Next week we have the South, which you want to talk about rough. Let's talk next week. I haven't looked yet, but I know the teams that are in there, and it's gonna
I think it's safe that we can run with the South. That way we can clean up an upright spot with the West. So,
we'll this is probably the worst 2 divisions in football right now.
The dirty South.
And they're both in the South, which is interesting. So real quick, because I've been teasing it the whole time, I'm just going to tell you what it was. It was I got Drake May, which was the 113 for Chris Godwin and Audric Estime.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. I'm basically rebuilding in this league. I was close, but just there's 2 to 3 absolute juggernauts. And
you got Drake May, or you got Estime?
I got Jackson Dart, yeah.
Okay, perfect, man.
Yeah, so I need to get a little bit younger. I got a lot of old players who we've talked about. So
no, I'm a big fan of Dart. It's been known here. Again, I'm building a dynasty team around him. I like the choice, and Jackson.
I like it. Let's go. All right. So with that being said, thank you for listening to Dynasty from the Mountaintops. I apologize we were a little bit long tonight, but listen to us on YouTube, Apple, or Podbean. Also socials at dynastymttops x Blue Sky. You can also email us at dynastymttops@gmail.com for any feedback or comments you have. Telling me I'm an idiot is fine. I'm okay with that. But you're probably wrong. And any topics you want to hear. Like I said, we have 2 weeks left of the going through each division. And then after that, I think we're going to get into some starter draft talk and starter talk there. So, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey, and this has been Dynasty for the Mountaintops. Have a great evening.
Thanks.